Welcome to the Box Score Sports Podcast.
Okay, let's do it. Okay, why don't we start with our great? Clint, why don't we start with you? Give me your great of wild card weekend.
Got to be the Rams. It was between the Rams and the Texans, but we said before, like we need A plus. I thought we need A plus Matthew Stafford for this game, and at least the first half, I think he started 9 for 9 or 10 for 10. We got A plus Matthew Stafford for 2 or 3 drives to start the game,
Mm-hmm.
and their defense, which doesn't rate good for the
Mm-hmm.
season, really came to play. And that was the shocking part. I picked the Vikings, and when I thought of the Vikings, like what the Lions did to them, that the Vikings would have an adjustment to like the quick passing game, which I think they did for a drive when they made it 10-3. I was like, oh, cool, they're dumping it off. But that Rams defense was all over the place. The pass rush was, incredible. And the Vikings have a decent offensive line. So I think the Rams, you know, came out much better than I thought.
Yeah, I agree. I think we all kind of predicted that a little off because I felt like the secondary wouldn't hold up if they brought extra rushers. They got 9 sacks. And some of it was like coverage sacks. Others was the blitz got there quickly or the pressure got there quickly. But some of it was also Sam Darnold. But yeah, I agree. Also, the run game was on point too. I mean, they didn't run the ball a ton, but he Williams averaged almost 5 yards a carry. He kind of did what he wanted whenever he touched the ball. So the run game was there too. Anything to add on the Rams, Chris? Or
No, just I said last week they looked for to get Jared Verse going, and actually he was one of they had 9 sacks, and he was one that didn't have a sack, which is kind of crazy. They got like 6 or 7 different guys that had sacks. Obviously, Verse is the one that had the fumble return for a touchdown. But yeah, just the complete domination of the game plan. I saw a tweet last night that was like, Sean McVay had 2 weeks to draw up plays for this game. So that's going to be as good as I think both of the Vikings play callers are. That's a pretty big advantage there for the Rams. What did you guys think of the not fumble intentional grounding?
that's actually in
Okay.
my ugly. We'll talk
Okay.
about that in
Okay.
a second.
We'll,
Okay,
we'll
yeah.
table that
Yeah,
then.
okay, we'll table it. But why don't you give us your great then for the wild card weekend?
I'll give my grade to Jayden Daniels,
Hmm.
just because. Well, I mean, you could even say just the Washington franchise because it was their first playoff win since 2006. So, like, that's really cool for them. And then Jayden Daniels going on the road on his rookie, and he was just completely inflappable. I forget the statistics, but Tampa Bay blitzed him on the vast majority of plays, and he just never blinked, never made any bad decisions. They didn't hit too many like big plays. They just kind of consistently moved the ball, but he just played an awesome game. So that would be my grade.
Yeah, he controlled they controlled the ball very well. They had almost 10 more minutes of time of possession. And then the
Mhm.
other thing was, which I thought was impressive was, let me think here. It was in my head. I can't remember, but it was something they did. Oh, 11 of 20 third and fourth down conversions combined. So they over
Mhm.
50% of the time. I think they were 8 of 15 on third down conversions and then 3 of 5 on fourth down. So really good job by the Commanders. That was a little bit of a surprise. And it wasn't like the Bucks offense didn't play well. If you look at them,
Mhm.
they played
Yeah.
fine. It was just they couldn't get the Commanders off the field.
Yeah, it was weird because like yeah, they were way more efficient on offense. They ran the ball better, they passed the ball better. Um, but then if Washington hadn't, I think they had the 2 4th downs they didn't get like inside the
Hmm.
5 yard line or inside
Yeah,
the 10 yard line. So even if they would have taken the points, like they would have won the game
without
like
the field goal.
with like
Yeah.
by like multiple field goals or scores or whatever.
Right.
So it is kind of a weird game when you look at it that way. Like if you didn't watch the game, it was like how did Tampa Bay lose this? Obviously, the main reason was the end around jet sweep fumble, which is a play call that I do not like
I'm with you.
that close to your own side of the field that too much can go wrong. Like that's a midfield and past play call for me, but that's the main reason why they lost.
Yeah, that's fair. Clint, anything to add for Washington?
It didn't hurt them. I thought a few of the going for it on fourth down, I was like, we should just kick a couple field goals here. Like, I mean, Tampa's moving the ball, but this turned out 23-20. You thought it might be a little higher scoring, but the 2 times they went for it and didn't get it inside the 10-yard line, I was like, they might regret those 6 points. And maybe they would have if, the Buccaneers knew how to read a snap count on 3rd and 1. Maybe you'd look back and be like, oh my gosh, we had 6 points and we'd had this game, but didn't turn out for it. But, Dan Quinn isn't an overly, let's just go for it on fourth down all the time. But apparently for the playoffs, he's decided Dan and Dan are going to have a game this week of no punting.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say he's got the Lions coming up, so he's just prepping. He's like, this is the way I'm going to have to play. I think that's the scary thing when you play the Lions is like you almost have to play the teams shouldn't, but they feel like they'll have to play their way. So maybe that's what the Commanders are doing. I think that's why the Vikings lost too, because they're like, oh, we got to play Lions football. It's like, no. You stick to what you do good. Don't worry about the Lions. But I digress. Okay, my great. I'm going to get to Derrick Henry and the Baltimore Ravens, but specifically Derrick Henry had himself a game. He had 189 yards, 86 yards rushing, 2 TDs. He averaged 7.2 yards a carry against one of the better defenses in the league. I know they kind of were falling off towards the end of the year, especially after TJ Watt got hurt, but still they brought him in to take pressure off of Lamar Jackson, and he accomplished that in a big way in their first playoff game. And if this is the way they're going to call their games throughout the playoffs, I think that's going to be good for the Ravens. So I'm going to give him my grade. Okay, guys, you ready to move on to the good? Thanks so much for watching this clip of the Box Score Sports Podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to our channel. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter or X. And we'll talk to you guys real soon. See ya.